is Startup Biz Coach Radio, formerly known as Mornings with Terry, and we're empowering entrepreneurs right from the start. Find us at thestartupbizcoach.com every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern with your host, Terry Clay. Are you ready to get this business started?
Hey, this is Terry Clay, and I am back with another episode of the Startup Biz Coach Radio. Hey, this is Terry Clay, and I am back with another episode of the Startup Biz Coach Radio. Yeah. So, we are back on the call yet another day. We do this call every single day, Monday through Friday, right here from the blog, the startupbizcoach.com. And you know what? You may not even be on the blog, but you know what? Head over there. You can get some extra value. You may be on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube. I don't know where you are, but we're thankful that you came back to the show, and you all come back each and every day to get more value. And if you are new to the call, we do this call every single day at startupbizcoach.com, and we interview successful entrepreneurs about how to empower them from the start. And we don't, what I love about this call and being able to speak to successful entrepreneurs, there's so many different businesses. I just got finished interviewing a life coach. I've talked to a lady that had her own magazine. I had a lady who that I spoke to today that helped Tim Ferriss. He helped him make money. Now that was crazy. I was like, oh really? I need to talk to you, right? So Tim Ferriss, if you don't know, he's the one that wrote the book The 4-Hour Work Week. And but there's always some successful entrepreneurs on this call, and I'm always so excited to listen to the next one because there's always such value. That's what it's all about here at the Startup Biz Coach. So what we do on this call, we allow our guests to introduce themselves. So Ruth, please tell us who you are and what you do.
Great. Thanks, Terry, for having me on. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth Ross, and I'm located here in, sorry guys, but warm and sunny San Francisco. I think we're probably one of the only parts in the country not to be feeling the cold.
Right.
So I hope everybody is safe. And unlike Terry and probably a lot of our other guests that come on kind of knowing they were born to be an entrepreneur or started this earlier in their life, I'm actually an entrepreneur after 30 years of working in the corporate world. And I can't say I started when I was a teenager, so that definitely makes me a baby boomer. And I had a career, a very successful career in corporate human resources. I worked for some of the most well-known companies in New York, including Citibank and American Express and Estee Lauder Cosmetics. And yes, I did get free cosmetics. And then I relocated. I was hired by Charles Schwab out in San Francisco, who moved my husband and I out here. And I spent my last 10 years as an executive vice president of human resources for Wells Fargo Bank. And I was there during all the craziness of the financial crisis and the acquisition of Wachovia. And in 2010, I had my epiphany moment when I realized that I pretty much was dead inside and made a complete 360 turn and left the corporate world to start up my entrepreneurial life.
Wow, I love that. It doesn't matter when you started or however, because you know what? Because I know I listen to, but the Bible says we overcome by the word of our testimony, and what I'm learning is that the testimony of one is going to help the one person, and another testimony is going to help another one. I have the same. I was telling you about how I was a nurse, and I was a nurse by trade, and I became a nurse. And it took me 10 years to graduate from nursing school, and I hated my job 3 months after graduation, and I knew I had made a mistake. And what I had done is I believed that, I was on welfare. I had 4 children by the time I was 21. They know my story, but I hated. I thought, go to school, get a degree, and I would, get off welfare and I'll be happy, because I was no longer broke. but I wasn't happy, even though I wasn't broke. I was very unhappy being a nurse. I hated it, and I know how it feels to be dead inside, and that's why I like to do this call, because I think there are some people listening in that felt dead inside, are still feeling dead inside, and it's good to hear the example that you can do something different and you can actually find a passion for what you do. And that's what it says on your website, that you found a passion for what you do. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I think, I'm going to tell you a quick little story first, and then I'll be happy to do that. So not long ago, I treated myself to a massage. We got to do that sometimes, right? Take care of ourselves in this process. And I was lying on the table having this great massage from this woman that was clearly gifted at what she did. And we started having a conversation, and she asked me what I did. And I said, I just recently published a book, and it was about people that are disengaged and how they can re-engage themselves. And she said, that was me. I had an office job. And she said, and I did that for a long time, but I realized it wasn't my passion. And so she was a single mother, and she said, I saved up to go back to school to study massage. And she said, I learned for me, and I think this is a great quote for your listeners. She said, I knew for me that I had to stop working just to survive, but rather I needed to work to thrive. And I think that's a great lesson for anyone, right? That, like you with the nursing story, right? It was going to pay the bills. But is that really what you were passionate about? My job paid the bills in a really nice way, but I wasn't thriving. I wasn't loving life. I wasn't getting up and smiling anymore.
Yeah, had that deadness inside.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, I know all about it. Yeah. So, tell them. Okay, so now that you are free from Wachovia, right?
Wells Fargo,
Wells Fargo. Yeah, I couldn't remember which one. Wells Fargo. Now that you're doing your own thing, living life on your own terms, tell them what you're able to do.
Sure. So I think what's really important is it's not that there's anything wrong with the company. As a matter of fact, I thought Wells was a phenomenal company, and I'm still proud to, still be connected to it in some ways, or any other company that I worked for. And I think that's really important for all of us to understand, that it's more about looking inside of ourselves and saying, is this really all there is for me? Am I sick at the thought of getting up and going to work in the morning? And frankly, am I taking it home with me? Because when we're going through stuff where we're really unhappy and not passionate about what we're doing, when we get dressed in the morning to go to work, whatever stresses we're dealing with at home, be it marital or childcare or financial or any of that, that stress actually gets dressed with us and goes into work. And conversely, when you're like working at a job you don't like, or in my case I had a bully boss and that wasn't a lot of fun, right? But I'd bring that home with me and that would affect my husband. So there's this interconnectivity, and I think you just have to get up, look. For me I call it my face in the mirror moment, where I think you just have to look in the mirror and say, okay, I just realized I'm dead inside. There are three things that can happen. One is I can go, you know what? I don't really love this, but this is the situation I'm in right now, and I've got to pay my bills and I've got to do stuff, and I'm just going to continue to do it, but I'm going to acknowledge that I know what's going on. Another one is you can go talk to someone, a boss or HR, and say, maybe if we just tweak something a little bit here, maybe things, I could get re-engaged. But I think the third and the one that probably happens to your listeners the most is that you look at yourself in this mirror and you go, you know what? I'm just going to call it what it is. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to say it out loud. And boy, did I say it loudly in that mirror, right? I'm going to say it out loud. And now I'm going to think about, what's my plan? And it may not mean that you get to walk away tomorrow. Few people really have the ability to do that. But you start being planful and thoughtful and strategic and think about, wow, I want to write a book. I want to do this. I want to, start a blog post. I want to do a podcast.
Right.
And start thinking about how can I get there? Have all your ducks lined up. Start saving even more than hopefully you've been saving before, so that at some point you can walk towards something better rather than running away from something that's not working for you.
Yes, yeah, I love that. I love those because as I told you on my story, I wasn't really able to do the saving. I have the plan because I lost job after job after job, and it was just not. It just wasn't working.
Right.
And I remember I kept praying, Lord, help me keep this job. Lord, help me keep this job. And it wasn't so much that I was acting bad on the job. It just it was when the economy was bad and the jobs were going out of business, and it was everything you could think of happened. And I finally, the light bulb was like, you know what? I don't think he wants me to do this.
Right.
But because I had to do it that way, I guess my testimony is I always tell people, do like you said, save the money. Go, don't do it like I did. I think it was pushed because I'm going to tell people my story, and I think it was going to be a testimony to tell. I think that's why he had me do it that way. But because I'm going to tell you, save the money. Don't do it the way I did it. It was hard.
I couldn't agree with you more. I tell people when I speak to groups, or like later this afternoon, I'm actually speaking to a group of college kids, right? And one of the things that I tell them, because they get disengaged too, I say, you need to start saving right away when you go into the workplace for retirement, definitely. But also, I would do a separate, what I call a walk-away fund.
Yeah,
so
that's
that you
really
don't
good.
ever have to feel like, oh, God, I'm stuck.
That was a good one.
I can't do it. So I just call it a walk-away fund.
Yeah, and that is really, wow, I haven't heard that before, but that is so good, because that was one of the things that I remember being stuck. I felt like I was stuck when I knew that I hated my job within 3 months of graduation from nursing school, but I didn't leave. It was years later. It was like maybe 6 years later when I kept losing those jobs, but I didn't have a walk-away fund. If I had a walk-away fund, I could have walked away. That would have been perfect.
Exactly, and that's why I tell students and others and people in the workplace that it's about, think about it. If you're on an airplane, right, when it comes into to the airport, it's got landing gear. It doesn't just come in, boom, like there you are. So it's about a safe landing, and part of having a safe landing is having money to walk away. It's just being planful
I love
and
that.
thoughtful.
I love that. I love that, especially when you're aiming to have the passion or to have the whatever it is that you desire in your life, and you don't know that. And that's what you're right for telling it to young people, because they don't really know. I mean, when I graduated, when I was in nursing school, I was gung ho and I was ready, and so I never had a clue that I wasn't gonna like it. I just, so I wouldn't have known that I wasn't gonna. So I know a lot of college kids don't realize they may not like it or may not fulfill them. So that's like perfect advice to give for somebody because you don't know what the future holds, You
don't, and think about it. How many college kids like today are taking a certain major because either their parents said they'd be really good at it, or a guidance counselor, right? And then they're in college and they're going, oh my God,
I don't like this.
I don't like. I'm just going to go get a job, not a career. So I like to tell people that it's never too late to course correct and just do something else.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love your advice. So tell us about your book.
So, thank you. So, first of all, who the heck ever thinks they can write a book? Right?
I know that.
I hated writing in like, when I was in college and in business, I wrote like business memos. But, when this happened to me and I made the decision to leave, I started speaking like at groups and things like that, and people would come up to me afterwards and say, oh my God, it was like looking in a mirror, you're telling my story. And I just started saying to people, well, tell me your story. And the more I listened to people and realized, I'll just give you a couple quick statistics to tell you how unreal this is. In the United States alone, 70% of the U.S. workforce has identified themselves as disengaged, and even scarier, 87% on a worldwide basis. So guess what, guys? It's all around us. If it isn't us, it's someone we love or close to us or a colleague or a friend or somebody we manage. And so as I started hearing these stories, I thought, you know,